How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Deep Zone Pod, bringing you up-to-date sports talk news from around the NBA, NFL with hot topics, trade news, playoff and draft discussion, debates, you name it, we got you covered. Unfiltered with hot takes on your favorite teams and players, some you're going to like, and, well, others not so much. The Deep Zone Pod has you covered for all your hot sports news. Just remember, this shit's unfiltered.
How's it going, everybody? Jake and Mark are back, episode 5, the Deep Zone podcast, discussing the Western Conference Finals between the Los Angeles Lakers and Denver Nuggets. Not what we all expected, but hey, that's kind of why we all play the games, and the Clippers just find ways to continuously choke. Before we hop into discussion, Mark, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. Kind of just wanted to ask you, random, did you see the video of the alleged 6-year-old kid out there playing, I don't know what you want to call it. You ever seen the TV series How to Get Away with Murder?
I have.
Yeah, that's what he was doing out there to those 6-year-old kids. That kid was not 6 years old. That's bullshit.
Yeah, I definitely saw that shit. That was pretty wild, I'm not going to lie. That kid was no younger than 15 years old. Like, if he was 12, I'd be shocked. That kid was built. That kid was strong. That kid was fast. That kid knew how to play football. There was a kid that got through the line, and he said, "Dad, I got through the line. Dad, I'm not tackling that big motherfucker. I'm out. I'm running the way. I will lead block for him. Team, sorry, he's on my team now. That's my guy." I mean, I saw it. I laughed my ass off. I don't know how they're even allowing that kid to play. They need to check his birth certificate instantly. But if they're going to let that play, I might hop on the pads and go fucking play some Pee-wee football because I could be a legend out there again. I'll feel special. I mean, shit.
Yeah, I mean, now we're just kind of shifting back on the Western Conference Finals discussion. Let's get right into it now.
And these two teams kind of are polar opposites, if you ask me. The Lakers, one of the better defensive teams in the league. Nuggets, obviously one of the better offensive teams in the league. And they're just one of the hotter teams in the league in general right now, obviously coming off 2 series back-to-back where they just came back in 3-1 deficits, and they just kind of feel like they can come back from anything right now. And Lakers are led by, obviously, LeBron. They're no joke on offense. They have LeBron, they have AD, they have some weapons, and they got enough to prove that they have a team capable of going all the way. Obviously, they're in the Western Conference Finals, and they have one of the best players ever. And I think, okay, I'll just leave that part. Lakers have really yet to be challenged, honestly, in this postseason. They've had a pretty easy way. But overall, I think, again, sticking to the polar opposites, the Nuggets have just made history, like I said, for those 3-1 comebacks. And fuck, I think this is actually sounds like shit. Let me say this whole last part. But the Lakers have their offensive forces as well, led by the king himself, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, who is out to prove a point these playoffs. But honestly, he's just trying to prove he's one of the elite in the games, just on both ends of the court. And the Lakers have yet to be really challenged at this point in the postseason. Again, just sticking to the polar opposites theme, the Nuggets have had history with those back-to-back 3-1 comebacks, and obviously hasn't been done too often before. And that was only the 13th time in history that's been done, and they just did it twice in one postseason. And they did it against good defenses in their own right, the Jazz and the Clippers. So I was just kind of leading to our first discussion of how they kind of got here. The Nuggets, as I said, they just came back from a 3-1 deficit against the Jazz, where we all kind of thought they were dead. The Jazz were looking good. Donovan Mitchell was just destroying them. Murray just got hot, and he never stopped. They just kept going, and then got to the Clippers series, and it kind of never let up. Obviously, they got out to a slow start. The Clippers got out hot. It looked like the Clippers were going to finally get that battle of LA they've been searching for all year. And once again, 3-1 down. Murray, Jokic rallied the crew, and those boys they felt it again. They felt the magic, and they didn't let up. Clippers felt it. They felt the pressure, and they couldn't slow them down. Jokic is playing some of the best basketball I've seen at the center position in a long time. Yeah, his defense is freaking dreadful, but if he's going to play offense like that, finding guys open, just making plays for everyone, causing double teams, and always finding the right guy, it's a tough matchup for anyone. But what did you kind of see in the Lakers series, Mark?
Yeah, with the Lakers, I feel like they've had an easy ride, complete opposite of the Jazz. Not the Jazz, the Nuggets. The Lakers have had an easy ride. The Blazers, everyone thought that the Blazers were going to, be competition for the Lakers. And after game 1, especially, everybody was like, yeah, I think, the Blazers can pull off this upset. The next game, AD kind of came out and asserted his dominance. LeBron kind of just chilled back that game, and played facilitator, let everyone else get involved. And then the rest of the series, he just came out pretty much dominating along with AD. And they got over that series pretty quick in 5. Although Lillard did dislocate his finger, and I think that played a little bit of a factor, but I still think the Lakers would have won that series in 6 if Damian Lillard was healthy. And then with the Rockets, same game 1, the Lakers came out, was flat, didn't really look the par, kind of didn't look interested in that game. And then the rest of the next 4 games, they just came out and dominated. The Rockets didn't really stand a chance. They had no paint protection, which was a worry for them all year. They couldn't stop AD. They couldn't stop LeBron, obviously. And then Rondo came in, being out for almost 7 months now, and completely dominated. You had guys like Markieff Morris, Kuzma also kicked in some tribute. I remember in one of those games, Caruso made a big shot, dagger. So, yeah, the Lakers pretty much polar opposites of the Nuggets' first 2 playoff rounds.
I don't think the Blazers were going to change anything with Lillard staying healthy. I did think the Blazers had a decent chance at the start of the series. Obviously, that didn't really stand the case. But, yeah, same with the Rockets. I mean, I like the Rockets a little bit. They had some momentum a little bit. They were playing good, just a different look. But the Lakers were just not having it. They just, as you said, they dominated the paint. And when you have LeBron and AD, you can dominate the paint like that. And they kind of have that again. I mean, kind of goes right into the season series with the Lakers and Nuggets. Kind of, as you talk about dominating the paint, Anthony Davis literally just walked all over the Nuggets defense all season. He scored over 25 points in every game. He was the leading force in virtually every game for the Lakers. There was one game where LeBron never played. The Nuggets ended up taking that game that LeBron sat out. And that was their only win this season. The Lakers won the season series 3-1. So it was a little lopsided affair, quite honestly. The last matchup was in the bubble. The Nuggets were kind of looking for that 3 seed to kind of set up that matchup with the Jazz. They eventually ended up winning. It almost looked poor, as we said, but they ended up taking that win, so it paid off. And they didn't really put that much effort out there. So if you look at it, it's really a 2-0 series in the way of the Lakers. So Lakers is still obviously the better team. They showed up against the Nuggets. They did what they had to do. And overall, I mean, hang on. Just back to AD, I mean, that's what this guy needs to do. He needs to show that he's one of the best capable defenders and offensive players in the league. I mean, if he's at his best, if he's aggressive, there's nothing people in this league can do to stop him. Like, I mean, name one guy other than maybe Giannis that has the ability to maybe stop that guy. Like, there's no one that's physically capable of just even matching up with him. But sometimes he just decides, this is not my game. I'm just going to become a jump shooter. I don't want to get in the paint. I don't want to get bumped and bruised. He doesn't want to play center. He did against the Rockets a little bit, but I don't see him wanting to play center against even the Nuggets. Probably they're going to be a lot more JaVale McGee in the series, a lot more just big men in general. So I'm hoping he doesn't kind of settle. Obviously, during the regular season, he was out there shoving it, and really the Nuggets had no chance. So on the flip side of that, kind of the 2 stars of the big man position, Jokic's going to have to just do exactly what he's kind of been doing all playoffs, really. I mean, when it comes to him, he's been averaging over 7 assists. He's had 20 plus points a game. It's around like 20 or 25 points. The guy's just been unbelievable this postseason as a big man. When you're passing like that, when you're creating opportunities for your players, it's just unbelievable. The Clippers had no chance. They were double teaming him in every single play. He found the right guy. He was making it's honestly just reminded me of Dirk Nowitzki back when they beat the Heat that year, when it was almost, you can't do anything to stop this guy. Like, yeah, he's not going to do this every year, but this might be the year that you have to chalk it up as it's Jokic's year. But they have the guy that can stop him. AD is more than capable of it. I mean, if you just look at the athleticism, I don't think it's even a competition there. Yeah, that's how I kind of see that matchup going down. I think it leads AD. If Jokic shows up like he is maybe not. It's just kind of, like I said, it's just what it is.
Oh, yeah. I also think in that matchup, it kind of comes down to who guards each other in the fourth quarter, because that's kind of when the Lakers, put AD as primary center. Also, they do it throughout the game, but, that's when they're going to be kind of forced to guard each other. And I think that's when you see which one asserts their dominance more than the other, and I think controls, the series, helps their team control the series. But I personally think the 2 players that are going to have the most impact on the series is LeBron and Jamal Murray. Kind of what I think LeBron needs to do for the Lakers to defeat the Nuggets is, I think, he just needs to be LeBron. Attack the paint, get those guys in foul trouble, attack Jokic whenever he sees him down there, run at him, try to draw fouls. and he has to facilitate well. That's what he does. That's what LeBron's known for. He's more of a passer than he is a scorer. He has to get his guys shots. His guys also have to knock down shots, but he has to make sure he gets those guys shots. And if they're missing shots, he just has to continue to get them shots, because that's just the way with the shooter. Even if they're missing, you got to show that as a point guard, which is the role LeBron plays for the Lakers, that he trusts them and believes in them in this series. Because a lot of these guys like Kuzma, KCP, they haven't been in these moments before. Alex Caruso, even AD, they haven't been in this type of situation before. This is the farthest they've ever been. This is pretty much a walk in the park for LeBron. He does this every year besides last. So, like I said, he's going to have to install confidence in his guys, be that leader. And then Jamal Murray, he's got to continue what he's been doing. I think he's going to have to be better. To beat LeBron, you got to damn near play perfect. And I think Jamal Murray can't afford, one of these bad games, because if he has a bad game, his team's going to lose. So I think this stuff you're seeing in Game 7 that he just had against the Clippers, you're going to kind of have to see this consistently over a 7-game basis. I mean, maybe not 40 points, but, at least in the 30s for them to be respectable. I don't know. What do you think on that, Jake?
Yeah, I definitely think Murray's going to have to show up. There's no doubt. I mean, when you look at it, it's really just a two-man game with him and Jokic, and then everyone else kind of fits in the pieces behind them. They've been averaging over 53 points a game, I think, on average throughout the playoffs. I mean, just that alone, that's going to win you games. But when you go up against a team like the Lakers, yeah, they gone against good defensive teams, but Murray definitely has to show up. There's no doubt. Obviously, he's never been here before. No one on really the Nuggets has been, I don't think. I'm not sure anyone on that team really has even Western Conference Finals experience. But regardless, I mean, LeBron's going to show up, like you said. You're not going to really question LeBron's dominance in the series. He's going to show up, and you know what you're going to get from LeBron, in my opinion. I don't think that's really a question. Obviously, Murray's a wild card. Like I said, LeBron's going to go out there, and he's going to dominate. This defense isn't going to show up like it did. The Nuggets defense has really been soft early in the series, and I think that's when LeBron's just going to, again, he's one of the better players. Is he going to take over? And the Nuggets are going to get down in the hole, and I just don't know if this is the team the Nuggets can get back from. I don't know. It's going to be tough. Murray's a great player. Like you said, he's going to have to average 30-plus points a game in this series to give him a chance. Same with Jokic, the other guy. He's going to have to be in the 20s, and he's going to have to just be making unbelievable plays. I don't know. It's definitely going to be something to watch. Who do you think guards Murray? Is it just going to be – there's probably some flat Rondo on him, I'm guessing, right?
When Rondo's in, I think Rondo matches up with him. I think you see some Danny Green. I think you see some KCP, obviously. I think LeBron might take him a few times. Maybe Kyle Kuzma. I've been noticing Kuzma has been put on a lot of team stars lately because, he's 6'10" with that length. I've seen him a lot guarding James Harden.
That's a good point. Just give him something, like you said, length, make him uncomfortable, and just give him a different look. Even though he's not the best defender out there, that length is just sometimes enough to just make it hard to get around.
With that, me going into my next topic, us just getting done talking with LeBron, I was kind of interested on your thoughts, maybe some LeBron legacy talk. Where do you think he ranks amongst the all-time greats in the league?
I mean, obviously, you come up there with Jordan and all the greats up there, and people are going to just straight up debate him and Jordan. So I'll kind of stick with that. And when it comes to those two, I've always said LeBron's the best pure basketball player to ever play the game. There's no one better that makes his teammates better, that does every aspect of the game. He can lead the league in rebounds, blocks, steals, points, assists on any given year. Even at this stage of his career, the guy's late 30s and he's still doing it. I mean, it's hard to say that. Yeah, he's lost some finals, but Jordan never had to deal with a team like the Warriors where they were 3 superstars, 3 Hall of Famers, and then you had another, just a perfect role piece with Draymond. They never had to really go through that stretch, and it's a tough stretch. And I think all time, like I said, Jordan's the best winner. LeBron's the best basketball player all time. When it comes to GOAT status, it's hard for me to literally just give it to one or the other because it's just that conversation, because it's 2 separate conversations in my opinion. They're both, I'm kind of stumbling across the conversation, but they're both, in my opinion, different almost basketball players. Like LeBron is there to make his whole team better. Jordan was asked to literally be there and be the one guy to carry the load and be the winner. So, LeBron's asked to do a lot more almost, in my opinion, to make an entire team better. I don't know. It's a tough situation. I'll pick LeBron, but I never got to see Jordan play, so I also have to say that. But Oh, I did get to see him play towards the end of his career, but not in his heyday, not in his great days. So I'll go with LeBron, but it's really close. It's tough to say. If he wins this year with a third team all time, third different team, something Kawhi was trying to prove a point to do, and if LeBron could do that in the same year, I think that, in my opinion, that settles. That kind of sets him apart right there.
Yeah, for me, I've personally always, not always, but I kind of felt ever since the championship LeBron won in Cleveland, I've always thought, LeBron was the better talented player. But as far as the greatest of all time, I felt like that championship he won in Cleveland solidified it. Down 3-1 in the NBA Finals to the team that had the greatest regular season record of all time. I kind of felt that solidified it for him. Kyrie was huge in that series. Let's not take anything away from Kyrie, but if you just kind of look at Kyrie, where he's at today and what he's done post LeBron, and even pre LeBron, he's not, I don't know, he's won like 5 total playoff games.
Yeah.
And that was with a stacked team in Boston that is in the Eastern Conference Finals right now without him. So, but like I was saying, I think he's the greatest player of all time. I think it's kind of crazy how, 90s basketball fans, they act like, when Michael Jordan played, it was the greatest thing of all time. They'll tell you, the 60s weren't that talented because, the 60s and 70s, they just played against little guys. That's why those big men dominated. And, kind of same thing with the 80s, and MJ kind of came in and he took over this, like it was a big man era and he came in as a guard. And I think that's what, those fans are it's so stuck in their head that he did something that was new and it's never been seen before. So that's why I kind of think 90s basketball fans are stuck on MJ. But yeah, like I think LeBron's the greatest and I don't think there's anything he can do right now to make him even greater because I already think he's the greatest, me personally. And for those, 90s, 80s basketball fans, if you don't think he's the GOAT now, winning another championship, it's not going to change your mind.
So just quick question, just real quick. What do you think happens if he were to lose a series for Nuggets? Something no one expects.
If he were to lose?
Yeah.
I think, it would be tough on the Lakers. I think, a lot would be talked about more, I think, is AD going to return than what happens with LeBron. I think that would be more of the conversation.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, he's a free agent, and if they lose, it's kind of do I want to come back to this? We just lost, and he's another year older. We're not going to have the cap room, all that. No draft picks, no young talent. It's a tough decision. I see him coming back no matter what, but it'll definitely raise some questions, I think. Yeah, kind of getting off of the star talk, we're going to jump into kind of some Series X factors. Obviously, like I said, none of the stars. We're not going to talk Jamal Murray, AD, Jokic, or LeBron or anyone. So we're kind of looking for someone other than them, someone that can step up and make a difference. Maybe they're one of the stars of the series. Maybe they can be the MVP of the series, but they're not the MVP of the team. But they can be the reason this team can kind of get to the finals. And for me, for the Nuggets, my guy, quite honestly, is Paul Millsap. I think this is the guy they're going to be using to guard AD in a few matchups throughout the regular season. He played well versus the Lakers. He scored over 20 points a couple games. Again, he was guarding AD, so he's doing it on both ends of the court. Yeah, I said AD scored 25 points in every game earlier as well, so AD wasn't really having too much issue with him. As you said, in the fourth quarter, Jokic's going to kind of take over that role when they kind of go into their closing lineups and all. But I think Millsap's one of the best or one of the biggest X factors for the Nuggets. And I mean, I can't not say Michael Porter Jr. either. He's had his moments. He's a young player. He's technically a rookie still this season. He's going up against some of the best players in the league. He's shown up at times. He's shown he's not up for the moment at times. But if he shows up and he's a third force for them, scoring-wise, it's going to be tough for the Lakers to just kind of keep up that offensive scoring. And if you have Millsap as well guarding AD just decently, I think it's going to be tough. So my complete X factor is just straight Paul Millsap. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that Paul Millsap as an X factor. He is one of the people who has conference finals experience. I know you said you didn't know if any of these guys did. Paul Millsap is one of the guys. He played against LeBron in the Eastern Conference Finals back in the day, about 4 or 5 years ago when he was in Atlanta.
You're right.
So I could, he's a guy that has this experience, and I think he's going to have to show up for them. And I think he plays a huge role. I think, what you were saying, Anthony Davis, obviously he destroyed the Nuggets every time this year, had at least over 25 points a game in every game. Maybe he, gets him to, 20 and he has a bad shooting night. I think those things are huge and not looked at completely in the box score. For me, my X factor for the Lakers, I'm not going to lie. I was going to say Rajon Rondo just because of the way he played last series against the Rockets. He came, like I said, he came back from injury and he kind of gave the Rockets a lot of fits. And I kind of think he was going to do that for the Lakers in this series as well. But I'm not going to lie. Mine is Dwight Howard. I think Dwight Howard, yeah. I think Dwight Howard can play a huge role in this series. Obviously, as anyone knows, if you watch the Lakers, JaVale McGee does start, but once he plays those 4 to 5 minutes of the start of a quarter, that's all he sees for the rest of a half. He never comes back in unless there's crazy foul trouble, but even then, I think the Lakers would just go small ball. So when Dwight Howard comes in, I think when Jokic is matched up against him, Dwight is going to have to play a huge role defensively. I think he's going to have to keep himself out of foul trouble because I think his minutes will be huge and very valuable. And on the other end, I think he's going to need to attack him and look to get Jokic in foul trouble so the Nuggets offense isn't effective. I think the Lakers should look to dump the ball down to Dwight maybe once or twice a time while he's in and let him try to work out from the post, dunk on him, draw some fouls because even at this age for Dwight Howard, I don't think Jokic is guarding a cheeseburger on the court.
He's going to go after that cheeseburger on the court. He might not guard it. He's going to eat it. But...
yeah. Well, maybe he's asking for some of Lou Will's lemon pepper wings.
Oh, man. Well, he's going to have to go back to L.A. for those because Sweet Lou is back in L.A. now. He sent that boy home. So I'm not sure he's going to get no more Sweet Lou lemon peppers. But I don't know. I definitely, like you said, I'm surprised you actually went with Dwight Howard. I wasn't expecting that. Like you said, I definitely thought you were going to go with Rondo as you were kind of leading into. I thought that was going to 100% be your pick. He's looked just kind of rejuvenated, playoff Rondo all over again for the Lakers is kind of what they needed all along. They needed that just extra little force to kind of go and just guard those ball handlers up top is just vital for them. And if he can strap up Murray, that's going to be huge. But I let in with that. Like the Lakers didn't play many big men last series. They kind of just went away from it. AD played center. I kind of just said it was going to be JaVale. I didn't really even think Dwight, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I could see it. If JaVale's only playing the first few minutes, Howard's going to be asked to play pretty decent minutes, probably over 20 a night. And like you said, he's going to have to be guarding Jokic. He's going to be asked to be guarding Jokic. He's going to be asked to be scoring points. He's going to be asked to be doing a lot. And yeah, if he shows up, I don't see the Nuggets really competing at all, quite honestly. Even if he doesn't show up, it's not going to be a huge factor because they still have so many more pieces to try out. They can just try JaVale more, or they can just try to play small, like you said. So there's so many different ways the Lakers can play against this team with the Nuggets, and I think they're set up for, I don't know, I'll be honest. I don't see how the Nuggets really stick in this series long term. Like, yeah, they've done it in the last few series, coming back and stuff like we mentioned, but I don't see it again personally. I think when LeBron smells fear, he's going to put the team away. He's not going to set back like the Clippers did, like the Jazz did. The Jazz just aren't in that team, aren't in that position. The Clippers, they thought they were. We all kind of thought they were, and throughout the whole year, it was kind of the writing was on the wall. They kind of just took it easy, didn't care. The writing was on the wall. They wanted to play the Lakers, and they never got to there. And here the Nuggets are. But I don't know. I just don't think the Nuggets have enough, quite frankly, to guard LeBron, guard AD for a 7-game series. I think it's just asking too much. As far as predictions, I'm going to go Lakers in 6, but that's purely based on the fact I think it's going to be a 3-1 series, and I think the Nuggets somehow find a way to win a game in a last-second kind of just Jokic moment. But other than that, it very well could be over in 5.
Yeah, for me, I'm going Lakers in 5. I think, if you look at the Nuggets, previous series, they've been down 3-1, obviously, in each series. I tell you right now, if you get down 3-1 to LeBron, like you said, he's a shark in the water. When sharks smell water, they're coming. They're hunting. And that's what LeBron is. He's a hunter. He's hunting heads. Everyone always questions, his, killer instinct. I'll tell you what, LeBron's a good front runner. And when he knows he has someone dead to right, he's going to finish them off. And if they get up 3-1, like I believe they will, I think he's just going to go ahead and finish them off, and the Lakers will be strolling on into the NBA Finals like I think most people expect with this series.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously the Lakers have just so much to prove, and they want to just do all this stuff for the Kobe and all that. They have so much out there that they're just trying to carry on their shoulders, and it means a lot to them. It means a lot to the city of LA. Obviously, the fans can't be there, but they know how much this means to them, and I don't think LeBron and AD, especially the guy that wants to probably be there long term, I don't think they're going to let this moment pass them up. It's too tough to see really the Nuggets, like I said, sticking in this series. But that's going to do it for us today. If you want to check out our other episode, I believe it was episode 2. We discussed the Eastern Conference Finals. That's obviously gotten going already. We got game 2 getting up started pretty soon, and the Heat are up 1-0. But we both kind of think the Heat are going to take that. I got the Heat in 7. Mark's got them in 6. We'll see. We're kind of expecting a Heat-Lakers matchup, which would be pretty fun. Obviously, LeBron going back playing the Heat. Be some fun stuff, some fun NBA Finals. So stay tuned. Obviously, we'll have some topics kind of heading into that. But until then, just check us out. We got some stuff on the disaster of the Clippers. Just everything that's kind of going on with them right now. What kind of happened in the offseason. Fun discussion. Is that with our first guest? Just hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter, Deep Zone Podcast. We got some cool stuff out there. Appreciate you as always, and we're out. Remember, you can find us on Twitter at Deep Zone Pod for all your sports news. Take care.